Thank you guys for joining us. This opening press conference. It's an exciting time for us here at Southern University. It's an exciting time for Jaguar Nation because the football season is about to kick off. And we're going to be going to Albuquerque, New Mexico on Friday to compete in a football game on Saturday. And we're feeling good about it. The guys have been working extremely hard ever since the last game against Grambling, and now it's time to have some of that hard work pay off.
Coach, the decision to go with Dre, I know you wanted to see them one last time in that scrimmage. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. Why'd you go with Dre as a starting quarterback?
Well, I think because Dre had a better spring, and he also had a better summer camp than JP. I'm not one of those guys who are going to talk about what happened 20 years from now. I'm going to move beyond last season. I know what he did last season, and I think that may be a little bit of the problem here at Southern University and us not having the funds that we need. A lot of ex-players I know keep harping on what they didn't get, and that's an excuse not to give back to the university. Well, I know what Dre did last year. He made some mistakes. Sure he did. You could say some of the mistakes cost us games if you want to. But that has absolutely nothing to do with the way he came out the spring and the way he came out this summer and performed. Everybody is asked and deserved to be forgiven and have the opportunity to compete. And I really respect Dre for the way that he came back this spring and competed, and also for this summer camp. He did pretty much the things that we've asked him to do. He eliminated interceptions, which was big for us last year. He understands that. He understands he can't do that. And to have only 2 during the summer camp, I thought was pretty telling of the work that he's put in to get the things done we want done.
Will Jerry Joseph play this year?
Jerry Joseph will play our first home game. He had surgery on his knee to repair his meniscus. So we are fortunate we're going to get him back.
What are your concerns about New Mexico not having an opportunity to get game film because of a new coaching staff and what have you? What did you do in that scenario, in that case?
Offensively, we tried to get better at the things that we've been doing. We've been together for the better part of 3 years with the guys that we have on this offensive side of the ball. Defensively, we have some young guys, and this will be the first year with Coach Dawson Odoms as the defensive coordinator. But we have some veteran players over there in the defensive linemen, a couple of defensive backs, as well as linebackers. So we feel pretty confident in what we're going to do. It's always a bigger challenge of the uncertain with the defense than it is for the offense because we know what we're going to do. Unfortunately, we don't know for sure what the Lobos offense is going to do.
With the quarterback battle going down to the end and being so even, is there a temptation if things do go wrong to maybe go with the other one?
There's never been a temptation. I never wavered for what I was going to do. When I went to JP's house last year recruiting him, I told him he would have the opportunity to play in every game. Now, I lied in one sense because he played in every game except for the Jackson State game. I didn't put him in that game because I just thought it was just a little big for him at that particular point in time. But he played in 10 of 11 ball games. So I gave him everything that I told him I was going to give him. I gave him that opportunity. I told Dre last year it was his team. When I decided to make a change, I called Dre in my office and I told him it just wasn't happening for him. He had already thrown touchdowns for interceptions in 4 or 5 different games that had a part in us being unsuccessful, especially when we lost all of those games by less than 6 points. And as you know, an interception for a touchdown is 6 points. So I went to Dre Joseph. But that was over. That season last year was over. Everything started fresh in the spring. JP had to compete just as well as Dre Joseph. And again, who am I not to forgive? I forgot about how he played last year. He came back, prepared hard, and he did an exceptional job. I've never been quick to pull a quarterback when I was here. Dre played simply because Jeremiah McGinty was hurt. He couldn't finish the games. The first couple of games he had cramps, and Dre played by necessity. JP played by plan.
When you said that Dre only had 2 interceptions in fall camp, is that in like team drills and scrimmages combined?
That's all camp.
So that's every passing.
That's
drill.
every pass.
Okay.
And JP had 8.
And was it a hard decision to make Sunday, or did you kind of know going into it? Because I know you've been running with the first team a lot lately. Did you kind of have your mind made up a little bit going into Sunday?
We looked at the stats. I pretty much knew what the stats were, and I felt confident that it was probably going to be Dre. But again, I think had JP risen on Saturday, I think Dre would have risen even higher.
What was your conversation like with Dre when you told him he was going to be the starter?
Well, I met with both of them at the same time. I met with JP. I gave him a sheet that showed exactly what both of those guys did. There's no sense in me having closed-door meetings. We're all family. We should be able to talk. We should be able to discuss. I didn't want one guy to think I was telling him something and another guy the other something different. As far as family, of course, one side of the family is going to be upset. That's just the way it goes. But I've been fair to both of those guys. Coaches felt they had their input on that quarterback decision as well. It wasn't just my decision, but it was the coaches as well as both individuals' performances.
How are their relationship? How do they get along?
I think they get along extremely well. The thing JP has to do, he has to prepare like he's a starter, because we all know this is football. Unfortunately, people go down all the time. You don't want that, but it happens, especially around here at Southern. People get hurt. I mean, shoot, Chris Brown woke up on Saturday morning and he had to get his foot drained because he got bit by a spider. So you don't know what's going to happen around here. We have to expect the unexpected. So every guy has to be ready to play.
Do you think there's some players that come off better off the bench? Do you think JP is that player? He comes off better off the bench than being the starter? Less pressure on him?
No, I think he will now if that opportunity arises, which I hope it doesn't, because I don't want to see Dre get hurt. But if he comes off the bench, if he doesn't have his mind right, it doesn't matter if you're a starter or a guy coming off the bench. If you don't prepare to play, it's just not going to happen for you. It can't happen the day of the game. You have to do that all week long. But I think JP will prepare. Is he heartbroken? Absolutely. He should be. If he's not, he wouldn't be a competitor, and he's a competitor.
What is the mindset of the team right now, being in your third year? Do you feel there's more leadership with this football team to say, well, okay, we're tired of the losing, we got to get this off our shoulder, off our back and what have you? Do you feel that this team is stepping up with more leaders this year?
I think so. I think it's important because these guys have seen that people can leave this room and be on the same field with a Brian Urlacher, or they can leave this room and no matter whether they stay there or not, they can be in Tennessee with Chris Johnson. And Quentin got cut yesterday, but he got the opportunity. And he may get the opportunity to be on the practice squad. Jared Green, he can leave this room and be on the field with Steve Smith. Things happen. So these guys are aware that we're successful, and also they see guys marching across the stage, which is most important.
You talk about expecting the unexpected with the spider, but of course the hurricane. Just how much more complex does it make your week you're not only having to worry about the game, but you have to worry about your players, their families, and just, you know, that whole ordeal?
You know, it doesn't, because God is in control. That's the bottom line. These guys' family come first. No matter if we don't practice, again, if we board that plane, we're going to go up there and we're going to play competitively. And if given the opportunity to win, we'll kick the field goal to do that.
And I mean, you didn't have Monday practices last year. You had the spring cut short. You had your scrimmages cut short by weather. Are you just kind of used to dealing with it by now? Almost?
You have to be. I mean, if you can't adjust around Southern, you're in trouble, because things happen. That's the bottom line. We have the weather. We have shortened class week. There's been adjustments ever since I've been here. I've had 3 different ADs, a couple of chancellors. That's just the way it is. But I love it. I love it.
And I see Anthony Mosley as the starter on the depth chart at right tackle. What did you see out of him in his week since moving over from defense to make you confident?
I think Eric Janu, no question, probably has the best feet of any offensive lineman that we have. But it takes a lot longer to develop strength than it does feet. And Cairo, Georgia, there's not much to do there. They play football, they lift weights, they hunt, they fish. And they lift weights, they get ready for football. So by far, at this particular point in time, Anthony Mosley brings us more power. He brings us the ability to run the football, because he's going to hit you in the mouth. And eventually, Eric Janu will get there too.
And is there any kind of timetable on Taylon Jones' return yet?
No, that's a sticky situation, because it's involving a concussion, so we really don't know when to expect him back.
What are the, I guess, situation or situations that you may try to use JP this season?
None. There's absolutely no situation other than if Dre gets hurt.
What about the place?
Last year, playing JP was planned. I told him that. I told Dre that. Just like I told him we will only have one quarterback this year, unless we have injury.
What about in place kicker, Gregory Pittman? He excelled that much more over Matthew Hill?
He did. Matt got tremendously better, no question about that. But Greg is a more natural place kicker. And I think he gets the ball up sooner in terms of height than Matt. But Matt has only played soccer. But I think Matt's going to be a heck of a place kicker, because he worked extremely hard knowing that Greg was coming in. And if we had Matt kicking last year the way he's kicking now, we probably win 3 more games. He's improved just that much.
Any more questions for Coach Mitchell? All right. Thanks, Coach.
Good.